Cyclone Mage.
So Glory went for a very consistent sort of primary deck.
SamuelTsao. And just some of the key cards. Switch to
Go
Glory
Glory
just for a
first, sure.
second. This sounds a little better. So this is the...
But generally the games are very...
It's kind of like the inevitable damage, right? Because the bots, the bombs, like just deal damage straight to face every time. The hero power, of course, deals 2 to face. So the damage just adds up. Let's get straight into it. Finally, Glory versus SamuelTsao. Glory throwing 1 Vex Crow and keeping another, I think, if my eyes didn't deceive me there. I think he had 2. But now, okay. That's a good opening there. Sorcerer's Apprentice, Ray of Frost, and Mirror Image is going to be able to buy Glory some time. And SamuelTsao throwing everything but the upgradable Framebot.
Yeah. SamuelTsao wants something early enough, like we said, to just throw on the board, start magnetizing, hitting face. Doesn't want to go all in on one minion necessarily, because then Ray of Frost can become very, very valuable at just stopping damage for a very cheap amount of mana. And Glory's mulligan... Oh, actually, let's talk about this first. Tracking on 1, obviously there's no play, so there's a couple of options here. Galvanizer does make a lot of stuff cheaper. It means the Warrior can come out on turn 4. But Spider Bomb, good tool at removing giants. Glory is on the coin, but SamuelTsao decides that Galvanizer is a bit more important to kind of cheat out his hand a bit quicker.
Yeah, it's a tough call, that one, actually, because your choice would dramatically change if you do what your opponent had.
Oh, definitely.
Or at least, knew what opening they were capable of. Because if they don't have giant, then the Spider Bomb does nothing. Yeah. If they do have giant, the Spider Bomb could win you the game. So it's a very difficult call there. I think SamuelTsao ended up going with this Galvanizer for the best all-round pick. It's going to do the same and be good no matter how it goes, right? So I think Galvanizer this turn makes 2 1-drop Framebots, and then there's the 4-drop Wargear to follow up with. Seems completely reasonable to me.
I kind of like playing a Framebot over this. So the Galvanizer obviously cheapens the cards in hand right now, but the Framebot sets you up for in case you happen to draw like a magnetic next turn. But also the Galvanizer hitting the other... if you could play Galvanizer into Wargear, I'd like that a lot better. But since Wargear even cheapened comes only down on turn 4, you could wait to play the Galvanizer next turn to get maybe an extra hit on another mech that you're drawing.
Yeah, that's true. So basically, the difference here is floating mana or not.
Yep.
Right? So the reduced cost of the Framebot might not make a difference, or to one of the Framebots, might not make a difference to the following turn.
Someday I'll be just like
It's super interesting, though, because... if this Galvanizer draws out removal, is that just a win for SamuelTsao?
Probably not. I can't
because
imagine
then his
removal comes down
Framebot's
on this.
safer.
Well, Glory's going to know that the most that can be attached to this is Replicating Menace, and that's 4 damage. Sure, 4 damage isn't nothing, but it's not. If it was going to turn 4, maybe Wargear could be coming out. Maybe there's a Ray of Frost. Yeah. I like what Glory did here, though. So on coin, obviously, with the Vex Crow keep, the mulliganing for this deck is actually really interesting because there's no one card where you're like, I need to keep this card because I'm just going to play it and win. There's combinations of cards that you want, and Glory recognizes that Vex Crow on coin is one of those kind of parts of a combo that you want. He was rewarded by getting a Sorcerer's Apprentice and a Ray of Frost and a Mirror Image, so he's setting up the Sorcerer's Apprentice now so he can go coin Vex Crow, freeze a couple of things, and suddenly you have a board, and especially with the Sea Giant in hand, it means that can come down. Maybe not on this turn exactly, but yeah.
I'm liking me a Sea Giant this turn.
I don't think you can quite get there this... Oh, you mean just coining it out?
Yeah, just play it.
I like the Vex Crow. SamuelTsao's board isn't really going to get any smaller, right? So next turn the Sea Giant's kind of free, but this way you get to develop the...
Maybe it is getting smaller, language. If he trades this 2-1.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, those are good.
The Vicious Scale High doesn't actually do that much this turn, but the fact that it is lifesteal is kind of nice. Not that SamuelTsao is kind of chipped away at Glory yet, but...
I actually think these are, like... I'm not going to say 2 of the best 2-drops in the game, but 2 of the best 2-drops in this situation, in this matchup. I think they're very, very solid.
You can take a VT here as well. It doesn't kill it, but another good thing about what Glory did is playing the Apprentice out. You might think, oh, wait, well, if SamuelTsao has Bomb Toss. Well, SamuelTsao isn't running Bomb Toss in his main list, so Glory taking advantage of that fact, saying, all right, this Apprentice is just going to stick on the board, we're going to do some Vex Crow stuff, and that's how the game's going to plan out.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Now, SamuelTsao...
Sorry, I was going to say, it tickles me that you said VT. I don't think I've ever heard everyone actually say it. Take a VT.
Oh, just VT. Value trade.
I know what it means. I just don't think I've ever heard anyone say it.
Really?
At least, okay, I've never heard anyone cast it.
Okay.
Okay, there's the difference, yeah.
We got to spice things up, you know.
AVT, right? It's a very common...
Well, no. You don't, no. Let's not go that far.
Are you trying to promote AVT?
No, I'm trying to promote VT sometimes when the situation calls for it.
I was going to say that I've got in trouble before with my acronyms.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm not going to continue, but I nearly stepped into one then that I shouldn't have. So that was a self-save there. But yeah, let's get back to this game before I get myself in trouble.
All right. SamuelTsao opting for the Replicating Menace. I don't know. I mean, when your entire board's frozen, there's not a whole lot you can do. You can play the Spider Bomb out, but against this board, it's not doing that much. Yeah. I think SamuelTsao was kind of going in on a minion thing. All right, Ray of Frost is gone already. Let's hope he can't develop more stuff. Maybe he just doesn't have anything else to develop. But Glory having the Sea Giant, this was his plan starting from like... It was originally his plan, I think, off of Mulligan. But then when he got the Apprentice, he said, like, perfect. And then when he drew the Sea Giant, he's like, excellent, this is where we're going.
Is this going to be a 360 no-scope Spider Bomb onto this Giant? I think it has to be, right?
It has to be. Even if you hit... Oh, no, if you hit it, you're probably in a really good spot, right? Glory's kind of low on resources. Yeah.
And you've still got the Spider Bomb, right?
Yeah.
You've still got all the death rattles still on the minion, so this is huge, right? And, okay. Missed. But still,
it's not bad.
Once you see things like this happen, you start to see how silly this deck can be. Because there's still a Spider Bomb death rattle to go off, there's 3 more 1/1s as death rattle to go off, and there's a 7/9 that has all these things inside of it on turn 5. Imagine if Mirror Image didn't exist, you'd just be dead. Like, Glory would just be dead.
A lot of damage adds up real quick when you're playing against Mech Hunter. So Glory does have the One of Frost Nova in his deck, which is very good at stalling out the game here. And by stalling out the game, I mean killing his opponent the following turn. He's got 6/8, 16 damage on board.
I think just Nova Banana is fantastic.
Yeah. Just jam the Buffoon. Whoa. I'm very surprised to see anything but Nova come out here. And even with a Nova...
It's lethal in 2 turns.
Maybe he's thinking, like, I don't want a Doomsayer. But, like... You just...
Oh!
Dark Frog making another appearance. I don't know. Yeah,
this is absolutely fantastic.
This sets up lethal. Even with a Spider Bomb, another activation of Spider Bomb, let's say the other Fireworks tech is drawn from SamuelTsao and it does hit the Giant. So what?
Yeah, I mean, it's your opponent's on 6.
Oh, what if...
Wait, why?
No. I was thinking, what if Glory's thinking the only way I lose right now is SamuelTsao has exactly a discounted Warrior and a discounted Venomizer, but he should know that the Warrior, well, he doesn't know that it's Warrior, but the far left card in SamuelTsao's hand is the only one left in his hand that could have been discounted by the Galvanizer.
Yes.
So under no circumstances is the that combo coming out. So Missile Launcher costing 6 and a Venomizer costing 2 together would be 8. So if that was discounted twice, it could be 6, but that's not possible. And yeah, we see Glory taking out the win here against the Mech Hunter.
Yeah, just getting it done, and he said it's the real test. Like, I feel like although in general the Hunter does have the advantage overall in the matchup, the stats are not versus a deck like this from Glory, right? Everyone on ladder are not running double Vex Crow, double Rebel Bouncer, Luna as well, but also and a Nova.
Should have stopped that from happening.
Yeah, it really could. Yeah, it would have helped out quite a lot. He does have Bomb Toss in a tertiary deck, but that deck is not built for this mage matchup. Right. It adds like Dire Wolves and Unleash the Hounds in for much different matchups than the mage one. I will say, just as a note, you may notice we are not looking at secondary or tertiary decks. That's because they ain't playing them. They're back on the just straight on the primary deck, so it is effectively an exact mirror of the game we had, game number 1. Previously, and we're going to see, if Glory can do it again, and already his hand looks pretty sick. Like, maybe just this initial primary list was such a big deal, and it kind of just alludes to what I've been discovering, at least over Grandmasters, is that your primary deck is so important that getting it right, it's a best of 3. Getting it right in the game is massive, and Glory has such a good list to deal with this Mech Hunter.
And then the fact that this is specifically in Grandmasters where you're preparing different decks every week, like, the 2 players are going to be up against in the following week, so you can kind of prepare a little bit against them. So if people are staying on the primary lists after game 1, it kind of, is a nod to say that these players kind of read the field right. Yeah, they got it right.
Because in a perfect world, the better you predict your opponents and what they're going to bring, it should mean the less times you change deck, right? Yeah. Because you should be winning game 1 more often. Mm-hmm. And if you win game 1 with that deck, you normally will just roll and win game 2 as well.
You're on the front foot already.
It means that you're just more and more advantage. So Glory looking good. SamuelTsao also hasn't changed anything, so he's happy with his list going up against the Mage. But already you can start to see the explosive turns that Mage can have.
So now SamuelTsAo's hand is a little bit different than what he had last game. He does have the Explodinator, all cheapened by Galvanizer, which means that with multiple bombs on the board, one Ray of Frost, or the twin spell Ray of Frost, won't just stop. Very interesting. He's going for this play instead. I was thinking if he plays the Explodinator this turn, he can magnetic anything, like any of the 4 targets next turn, so there's not enough freezes from a Ray of Frost that could stop his board from attacking. But he's choosing to just clean up mirror images now, play out a frame bot.
I'm really surprised, to be honest, because the double Explodinator is fantastic because it stops what happened last game where SamuelTsao had one big dude, and that means, well, one frozen dude most of the time against Mage. But you can still do it now, like you said, you just tried to clean off as much of the board as possible.
So no other cheap spells in hand other than the 0 mana spells for Glory, and what I mean by that is that the Apprentice doesn't... The text on the Apprentice making your spells cost 1 cheaper doesn't really do anything right now, so Glory's saying, alright, there's a Poisonous there. I should probably not let that get out of hand. Maybe he throws a Missile Launcher on there. I don't have a Conch Calling in hand. That could get really yucky really quickly, so I'm going to just get rid of the Venomizer. That's one threat gone that I don't have to worry about. And I can still play this Vexro next turn with 3 spells if I really want to. I don't need the Apprentice.
And that's the thing. I wonder if we are going to see the Vexcrow with just, Evocation, or even coin something.
Perhaps.
Obviously, a Cyclone will be huge for Glory to be able to start chaining stuff, but most importantly, SamuelTsao's considering he's got 2 real options: go wide or go big. And
So
I think I like the big option.
I like the big option, but not this turn. So if you play the War Gear, what you're doing is throwing 5 extra damage to a mirror image, which you don't really want. If you develop something else this turn, and then War Gear next turn, this frame bot can clean up the mirror image. You have more things on board for something like a Vexcro turn, and the War Gear could potentially hit face if nothing else were developed.
Okay.
So this gives you a bit more flexibility against what...
He got it!
He got it.
Scale hides back in town as well. Okay, nothing mind-blowing from the generated spells.
Right, but that's the thing, like, this wasn't the craziest thing ever. You look at the board, it's like a 3-3, a 1-3, a 3-2, 1-3, but there's stuff, that's the thing. Without the Vexcros, the Mage has, like, the Giants, sometimes the Rabble Bouncers, and then not a whole lot else. So if you don't have those cards, or the hands that allow those cards to work, it can be difficult to get a board and get a productive game plan. So with Vexcros on the main list, this is kind of what you can be doing. It's not super tall, but going wide as Mage can be very good. And Hunter can't deal with it. At least this version of the list can't deal with it because there's no Unleash the Hounds tech in it.
And normally when a Mech Hunter board is wide, it's normally very, very low health.
Yep.
Because they might have one big minion. It's like playing a Sea Giant in a token deck, right? You can have one big minion, but normally the rest of the minions are really small.
Yep.
So any 2-drops are, good enough normally to deal with this board. See SamuelTsao drop the War Gear now on that bot.
Yep. So the second Galvanizer, a lot of SamuelTsAo's hand became a lot cheaper, was able to dump a lot of stuff. But look at his board, right? He's cleaning up what Glory has because he can't just go face. It'll allow Glory to take some favorable trades and kind of decide how the game's going to go. But, like, trading off all your resources here, what do you have left in hand? An Explodinator? SamuelTsAo's kind of running out of gas after this board kind of resolves itself, right?
Super weird decision there to try and make, isn't it? You take a value trade with your own minion, then it leaves a minion up that has a value trade versus your big minion.
Right.
But you keep a 3-1 instead of throwing a 3-1 away, a 3-2 away or whatever. So, very interesting, but SamuelTsao went for, I'll call it the safer play, but I don't mean safe as in bad or anything. I mean safe as in protected his biggest minion.
I like this a lot. Well, I mean, of course I like playing the Sea Giant.
I like playing 2-mana 8/8.
Very timely draw from Glory, allowing him to actually develop a threat on the board. He's seen one Venomizer go out already, so answers for this include a Deadly Shot, a Venomizer left, and 2 Spider Bombs. So he's going to clean up the board a little bit and just Frost Nova, kind of stop any potential ways that Samuel could... and that's exactly a good play. So what he could have done instead is just Cinderstorm, try to clean up a bit of the board, but Frost Nova means something like Deadly Shot can't really be used.
As efficient.
Right, Spider Bomb couldn't even be used at all. You could Magnetic it, and that's kind of it, unless you have exactly the Fireworks tech to go with it. So this gives Glory a turn to kind of see, alright, what else is SamuelTsao going to develop this turn, and how can I just take favorable trades, or just maybe deal with the board a different way instead of just trying to clean it out all in one turn. Bless you.
Sorry guys, you definitely heard that, even though I tried my best. Excuse me, but big question now. Big question for SamuelTsao might be match deciding. Is he taking the 25% now, or is that number ever going to be better? Or at least he made... Oh, okay. He made the choice. He went for it.
Smile from Glory, thinking, all right, well,
that.
that's going to happen sometimes. Okay, 6 mana to spend for Glory here. A couple of combinations you could use your mana, but none of them seem that great against this board. So that's the thing, right? Glory's used a lot of resources to be able to generate this wide board that has allowed him to fight against what SamuelTsao had. But he also doesn't have that much else left to develop. So even though SamuelTsao doesn't have much left to develop either, SamuelTsao is going to have a couple of things left on the board. He can weave in some hero powers, just play literally anything in his deck at this point, because the most expensive thing is Boommaster Flark, which he could play next turn. So Glory has to try to minimize any damage coming in over the next few turns until he finds something playable like the Mountain Giant in his hand. But it's going to be difficult because playing anything means that the Giant becomes more expensive.
Exactly. The biggest problem for me is... Naturally, I was thinking, oh, get the Secrets live, ping, and just call it a day. Sorry, get the Secrets live and call it a day. But the problem is, if you do that, the Giant becomes more and more unplayable, which means your hand becomes almost unplayable. So you're playing off the top of your deck. And something that this Mage list does not do, believe it or not, it's bad at some things. It does not play with no hand well at all.
Right.
Top decks suck because all the cards, or most of the cards,
they work together.
Pieces of combos and not singular. It's why I keep going on about Power of Creation so much, because you draw it, you play it, and it's sick. But without that, we saw then Glory just ping past because he deems that he needs this Giant to do something, because otherwise his hand is unplayable.
So, yeah, unfortunately for Glory, SamuelTsao drew obviously not the biggest threat, but the Spider Bomb means that he can't just play out a Giant this turn because it'll die. SamuelTsao is going to push some more damage, and then that's just not a winning game plan. Fortunately, he did find a Banana Buffoon, which means that he can develop something on the board which isn't that powerful in itself, but it could make the Giant cheaper, and maybe the Giant in combination with an Images or a Conch calling off the top could help Glory stick something and kind of develop another foothold.
Even not make it cheaper, most importantly, it doesn't make it more expensive.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Because it means that next turn it becomes more playable and so on, so on, so on. These next draws are going to be important for SamuelTsao because we can see that both players, even though it doesn't look like it, kind of both players are playing off the top of their deck right now. And Leroy, I mean, I like it.
This is interesting. SamuelTsao decides to play this and just kind of trade off with Framebot.
Yeah, 100%. I think you might even double trade.
Perhaps.
You gain 2 net damage and the safety of the minion.
You haven't seen Ray of Frost yet. You could be concerned by that, but if SamuelTsao passes, there are very, very, very few cards in his deck that Glory could say, oh, that's probably what's left in his hand. And Leroy, I think if this does not get played, it gives Glory the exact read that this is Leroy.
I like playing it.
I do like playing it as well.
But Glory's hand sucks because he's done nothing.
Yeah.
Make his hand continue to suck, or ask if, do you want to spend mana now removal instead of any kind of game progression? And I do like the trade because it means the mana, if his hand sucks, something you can always do in Hearthstone, if your hand's bad, it's hero power. So if you let your opponent have a good hero power, then you've not cashed in on the hand being bad. So that's why I really like the trade there.
Right, I agree. So Glory takes a turn here to develop the Giant, play out the Mirror Images, ping off the Explodinator. So on board, it's not... Ooh. On board, I was going to say, SamuelTsao can't quite kill off the Mountain Giant, because on board the Framebot can't kill an image, so Leroy and the magnetized Spider Bomb and Goblin Bomb would have to kill off the images.
Definitely put it on the 0-2, right? 100% of the time. It means you can push 1, but you definitely do, right? Because it means that so these 2 bombs are also 2 damage to face
right.
each. So you always put it on the 0-2 because you need to make it a threat enough that Glory has to kill it.
Right.
If he kills it, it deals 2 damage. If he doesn't kill it, he takes 5 attacks.
Yeah.
So there's no choice. So this is exactly correct here. Good play from SamuelTsao. Nothing awesomely flashy, but just solid, because these minions will kill Glory, and right at this second in time, there's a whole lot of nothing he can do about it, and I think that is...
There's nothing to be done. So Glory can set up some secrets to try and throw SamuelTsao off, but I don't think there's a way...
so he can yeah, he can send a storm the 2 minions away and then vaporize, right?
Yeah.
But then it's
so he
still
does
2
get it.
damage. He gets it. Wow, that was actually pretty sick. He didn't even do a
Wasn't
single
bad.
point of damage to the 5/7. But the problem here is, as I said, this is still deal 2. So if he plays Vape, then he's on 5 health effective. Well,
then
that's
the hero
still
power.
only 3 turns and he's dead. And Glory is not developing a lot of threats that make up a 3-turn lethal plan right now.
True.
So either way, this is looking tough for Glory.
I think if SamuelTsao plays it correctly, he can also just shut out all of Glory's options. So I'm assuming the Vaporize is going to come down here.
All right.
So what SamuelTsao could do is, I imagine he's probably going to hit face, because even if this is Vaporize, like, you got to do... I mean, maybe it's not. He could just hold on, right?
No, I think you swing.
Yeah.
Yep. Why not? Because if it's Ice Barrier, you really need to know.
You do need to.
You really need to know.
If it's Ice Barrier, you can just chill for a few turns. Just hit the button. Your opponent is for minions. There's not a whole lot
I
happening.
guess he could missile launch a hero power.
That's
do
what I'm
3 a
saying.
turn.
Do you need to do anything?
Is it too fancy to not do anything? Is my question. I don't think you particularly lose if it's Ice Barrier.
No, I think you're going to find spot if it's Ice Barrier.
So if you don't lose if it's Ice Barrier, then you just don't lose, right?
Yeah, I think I'm fine
So,
swinging either way.
yeah,
I'm just
I
saying that there
think-
could be an argument for just not doing
Oh,
it.
you could definitely not do it, but I feel like more often than not, when I try to be fancy and play around secrets in these ways, I lose because of it, because that's
That's
bad.
fair. That happens
but
to me a
in
lot,
general,
too.
I think the punish isn't strong enough to consider not doing it, or sorry, to actually not do it.
Yeah.
So I do like this swing. It's still 2, there's still a hero power, and he can play Missile Launcher.
I don't want to play Missile Launcher. Missile Launcher gives Glory the only out left in his deck, which is exactly Ziliax. So if this
you want a
denies...
Missile Launcher next
Oh,
turn
yeah.
for lethal. Sure,
So it's just
that's
guaranteed
better.
lethal.
Yeah, that's better.
Glory
And,
thinks...
yep.
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do. His hand sucks.
SamuelTsao correctly recognizing that spending 8 mana, not worth it. I just need to wait and then set up guaranteed lethal with Missile Launcher.
Yeah, just in case you guys don't know, Missile Launcher deals 1 damage to every single thing on the board, and that includes both players. So yeah, as you said quite rightly, this is guaranteed. I thought of it the other way around, but you're completely right that Ziliax would have been allowed to get an attack off, which changes absolutely everything. And SamuelTsao fights back. Check it out here, take a look. The bomb toss you've been talking about, Language Hacker, it's in. Is it going to be game deciding?
Perhaps. I mean, after 2...
Try and win the race, because he has removed Deadly Shot, which is a little bit bad. Leroy, War Gear, Missile Launcher, Boommaster Flark, which means that he's not playing for the late game. He doesn't want the game to go even into the 7, 8s, 9s mana. He wants to just finish it quickly. And this is the style I think you do have to play. So let's kick it off here. Going to be the last game of this series. Glory versus SamuelTsao, 1-on-1. Next game wins. It's going to be the Mage and the Hunter, of course.
Yeah. Glory not uncoined this game, but he still has an apprentice to work with. Khadgar is not really that useful unless you pick up images. Ooh. At least this early on. But the very aggressive start from SamuelTsao's hand, he does keep the Mekaru, which I really like. There's only 2 real 1-drops in SamuelTsao's deck, and they are the Mekarus. Tracking isn't really a
Kept
minion.
the War Gear as well.
Well, yeah, you already have
Which
the
is-
most aggressive, like, the 1-drop is what you want. Like, you just want something on the board immediately to start hitting face. So if you already have that, most of your deck is between, like we said, 2 and 5 mana, so cutting a Missile Launcher and Boommaster Flark, just so likely you get something else to play, that it's fine keeping a War Gear just for the guaranteed, like, big thing to have.
Yeah, it's like it's just extra burst, right? That's the key thing.
Yep.
I just love the. I mean, at worst, it's a 5-mana 5/5, of course, but I just like how reliable SamuelTsao's feeling his deck is. He's there. Oh yeah, there'll be something to magnetize, and that's part of the power of the deck. There's just always something on the board.
very
You even see the respect. Like Glory wants to maybe just 2-turn ping this just to get it off the board and remove it. Okay.
Probably just going to be an Ursatron. Explodinator is really nice, but you want to be careful out here, especially when you have this Ziliax, so you probably want to play something on 3, then go either coin 5 into 5, depending on how the game goes.
Yeah, you just want to keep playing stuff. Keep making, if you're SamuelTsao, keep making Glory have to react to you instead of having more free turns to start doing crazy things.
So this is actually interesting. This might be the first time we've seen a player switch between game 2 and 3 to a different list. And if
At least in APAC, that's for sure.
At least in APAC, right. So part of it might be that SamuelTsao thinks he might just want the tools in his tertiary list, but it could also be some mind games, right? From Glory's perspective, these players aren't saying to each other, hey, I'm queuing this deck now, by the way. So Glory's only seen 2 Mekarus and tracking. And this is exactly kind of what I wanted to talk about. He's going for Glory's going for Khadgar Mirror Images, which is great, buys you time. You get a value of the Khadgar, and SamuelTsao is going to say, "Buddy, I've switched to my third deck. I have Unleash the Hounds now."
Yeah, and it's I like it. It's the first time, like I said, at least in our region, I can't speak. I can't recall every single game that's ever been played. Yes, I sat and watched those Warrior Mirrors, and I'm still suffering from it now. But I want to see Glory's reaction to this because, as you said, the players, until they see certain cards, do no reaction whatsoever. Thank you, Glory. That was a great payoff to what I was going to say. But the players, as you said, don't know what deck their opponent's playing until they see the card differences be played out, on the board in the game. So now, this is what I was saying. The Unleash is just like, well, now what?
Actually, I really don't like the Unleash from SamuelTsao this turn. It does clean up the mirror images, but you can still play a Sea Giant here. You can play a Rabble Bouncer here. I think I would have liked to see the Ursatron and then surprise Glory with the Unleash the next turn to clean up the rest of the mirror images and then be able to take some trades with the mechs that he already has on board.
Interesting.
Because SamuelTsao doesn't have something like a Hyena that he can just play and get value off of these Hounds. Sure, these Hounds are great, and you paid 3 mana to get 5/5 or 5/1/1s, but now there's Rabble Bouncer on board. How are you dealing with this, right? You can coin out a Warrior, but that still doesn't quite get through it. You still have to trade a couple other things off.
I think I still like it, to be honest. Yeah? I think that... So the problem for me is if you're worried about these cards that benefit from a wide board and you play around them, then you might not win because you played around them. The deck runs them, right? There's nothing you can do. And I don't think you can always, and I know you're not saying always,
have everything, right?
They can't always have it, and also you can't just always play around it because then you're not playing cards like Explodinate. And I know you're not suggesting you always play around it, of course, but I think for me, get them down while you can, because we've seen certain games where for a large portion of the game, Glory's had no minions on board, or 1 or 2, which then Unleash sucks. The tech you've moved to sucks. It's 3 mana make a 1/1 that charges. So I think I like SamuelTsao gaining here. Because I feel like he's still very ahead.
No, he's definitely in a good spot here. And Glory does not have a lot to put on the board, right? 2 Mountain Giants, probably the worst hand you could have right now. Rabble Bouncers, that is going to help a bit.
Sickest pickup. Wow. I'm not saying it's game-winning, but without it, like you said, there's a 6/4 sitting there on board for SamuelTsao.
Yeah. 6 damage a turn adds up real quickly.
Yep.
And this is kind of one of the things about the Mage, right? If you don't have enough cards in hand to be able to fully utilize the cost reduction of Mountain Giant, or just have other stuff to do together, you just fall apart really quickly, right?
It's the hardest part, one of the hardest parts about the deck, right? At that point, Glory could have done very little and then worked towards Mountain Giant. Mm-hmm. With decks that beat Mountain Giant, you often don't you have to diverge and not go for the Mountain Giant play.
Right.
Well, there's still cards in your hand. And then normally, because the other half of the deck is such low curve, you spam it out, right? You end up using multiple cards to get, for example, that wide board, or to try and do something else. And that means your Giants go further and further away into the distance, which means your hand does nothing, as we can see right now. And this isn't an odd scenario. This happens, I think, at least often in certain matchups when the Mage is forced into using the resources in a slightly inefficient manner.
I like this a lot for SamuelTsao, not magnetizing the Ziliax and just going face. Mm-hmm. You want to kind of kill off that Khadgar because maybe there's something crazy that can come out. You've seen a Rabble Bouncer already, so maybe you're not really scared of anything, but if you magnetize that and your opponent conjures callings you, suddenly you have 3 1-drops on the board, and that's a lot less threatening than a 9/6.
Also, as well, if you magnetize it in a Ray of Frost, you cry a little bit. Because just why? And look at the hand. There's Replicating Menace and Missile Launcher. You've got enough magnetizable thing.
Right.
You've got enough Blessing of Kings in hand, basically, which is what most of these minions feel like a lot of the time. So why not gain multiple attacks now, and then go afterwards?
So Glory choosing not to play the Ray of Frost here. He has the Cyclone in hand. He's thinking, I need to get a bit more value than just the 2 Ray of Frosts, or maybe I wait one more turn on the chance that I get something else to play. So right now I can play out the second Rabble Bouncer, soak up some damage, and then try to make a miracle next turn, basically. SamuelTsao has to decide how he wants to handle this.
A little bit frustrating that Replicating Menace isn't 4 attack.
Yeah, you can Replicate Menace the Ziliax and then Fireworks tech it. You get 3 1/1. You get 3 1/1s off of the Death Rattle being active, but you also get +1/+1, which means that the Replicating Menace plus the buff from the Fireworks tech lets you trade the Ziliax in, and then the 6 connects.
You know what? I like it. I approve of this play.
And it's also good magnet. So even if you are magnetizing a minion, you have a couple of them spread out. So Conjurer's Calling isn't that bad, and magnetizing the Ziliax isn't bad either. Because if you Conjurer's Calling a 5-drop minion, you're going to get some big things coming out of it. So it's not even.
Send that Conjurer's Calling my way is what I would be shouting if I was playing the Ziliax. It's like, yes, I'll have 2 5-drops instead of 1.
He might be considering what happens, if Glorious Hand happens to be just like Sea Giants, and he happens to hit exactly Conjurer's Calling to Mulch Munchers. Maybe that's a way he thinks he loses.
Okay.
And also, if he buffed the Ziliax and traded with it, the Ziliax would have a 2 health left over, which does set up for Ray of Frost to kill it off. So maybe he's playing around a couple of things by splitting it and buffing up the Mechro instead. I'm not sure if that's exactly what needs to be done, but it does feel a little awkward buffing the Mechro a bit more, but I don't think it's terrible.
Yeah.
It mainly plays around Sea Giant, right? Which is... But if he had Sea Giant, he could have just played it on the Rabble Dancer turn, so I don't know about that.
I think here, Glory's just holding on, but I don't think SamuelTsao has to be even remotely upset or bothered at this point.
Yeah, I think you just make powerful turns now, I think, as SamuelTsao. The Blast Wave is almost going to be good, but I think... These are some interesting options. I don't think you take the second Unleash at this point, because there's not a lot Glory can throw back down on the board. But before I lose what I was going to say, the Blast Wave could give Glory some way to get back into the game if he finds a way to kill off the Ziliax and just Blast Wave all the 1/1s that get left over by the Replicating Menace Death Rattle. Because that's one way to A, fill your hand, and B, just give you other resources that you didn't have. And you need something. So Blast Wave might be the sort of box we need to open from Glory's side to try and get back into the game.
I think I actually like Unleash, to be honest.
Yeah?
Yeah, because the other minions just aren't damage. And if your opponent doesn't play minions, well, you win. If they do play minions, you deal
win.
more damage. So I actually think Unleash is very good here.
I don't hate it.
Galvanizer looks good because you have expensive mechs in hand.
But your
by
board's big
expensive, I
enough.
mean more than 3 mana. But I don't think you need that. And he has gone with Spider-Man. Okay.
We're getting to the point, mana-wise. That's kind of cool. You get a lot of healing off this too.
Yeah. At least this turn.
You what was I saying? You're getting to the turns where Glory might have enough mana to just play a normal Mountain Giant with Conch Calling. Not quite, but with an AI, perhaps the turn after, and a Frost Nova. The turn after you could go maybe Giant Conch. So he's thinking, all right, let's get a Spider Bam. We'll bank it for now. That's fine. We don't have to use it just now, but kind of as a
insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in case.
What to do?
I probably have to Conch Calling this, right? 10 damage is a lot.
Okay, that's
all right.
That's 3 spells.
So he hit some good stuff here, right? It let him clean off the Mechru and the big Ziliax. He's still in trouble. There's still a lot of damage coming out, but now we see Glory found a way to actually. Also, he needed the Conch Calling to hit some really low health 5-drops, which he did happen to hit Myra's.
He got very fortunate there.
Yeah, that was very fortunate.
A pretty good Conjurer.
That was the line he needed to take. So
big deal here is though Direwolf, and then for me, like Direwolf and either the Framebot or the Ursatron, just press that hero power. It's just push. You can push 8.
Yeah, back to old school Hunter where you just hit face a little bit, push the button, hit face a little bit, push the button.
50% of his life this turn if you just play Direwolf and hero power. I like taking 50% of my opponent's life. The only thing I like more is taking 51% and above of my opponent's life off instead. Yeah, that's the only improvement.
I mean, Direwolf's not going to get much better, so...
No, just chuck it. It's another minion. Chuck it down.
Well, that's the thing. You just play stuff now.
Yeah, exactly.
You say, all right.
And double Rebel is gone.
Yeah, double Rebel's gone. You're not scared of those taunts. The only thing
we played the Sea Giant.
The only thing that could be coming down are Mountain Giant Conch Callings. And you know there's the second half of a Twin Spell in Glory's Hand for the Conjurer's Calling.
That's why I like getting the extra mech down, especially because do you imagine this little bot might be pinged? So then you want something else to at least benefit from this Direwolf?
Oh, he's cashing on... This is interesting. So he's cashing on the Spider Bomb Magnetic now, just for some extra... Oh, maybe not.
Oh, well... So one of the plans, I guess, would be mana, right? If my opponent doesn't have the mana to play Giant Conjurers and deal with the bomb,
he's dead.
Well, what do? And it pushes more damage this turn.
Glory is going to need like a Frost
Miracle?
Nova. No, exactly, a Frost Nova. He's going to have to develop a Giant. He's going to have to Magic Trick a Frost Nova.
And it's already too late. SamuelTsao on 30 health.
Yeah.
And he has a Ziliax. Glory doesn't win this
Glory needs to... Now he doesn't. The mirror images could help him. There's a world where you play the giant, you discover Frost Nova here, you end up drawing Ziliax, you clean up enough of the board and stabilize just enough with Ziliax that you get there. Like, Glory knows that we talked about the cards that were cut, switching to SamuelTsAo's tertiary deck. Leroy's gone, Missile Launcher, a War Gear's gone, so there are a few fewer magnetic cards. So
Hero Power's not gone, though, and he's on 8 health. It's why one of the reasons was I actually liked the bomb. But I think I might have held a Citron if I was doing that play. Because then my opponent would be on 6. In 3 turns and draw all of those cards you just said in the correct order.
Right.
You know, like 3 turns? Like, okay, they can have 3 turns to win the game. We'll see. There's a lot of taunts.
Okay. Throwing in the mirror images as well to make it so that SamuelTsAo has to punch damage into the images before trading off the spider-bombed Joey bot. That way more damage is soaked, obviously, before SamuelTsAo can potentially go face.
I'm working out if there are any particularly mind-blowing mechs you can get off Citron that really messes up the turn, but I don't think there is. I mean, any mech is good because it's just an additional card to play. But I don't think there's anything that really blows open the game here.
Actually, that's curious. Do you trade off the Ziliax here, and then sorry, trade the Ziliax into the mirror image and then pop the Citron to see if you can get a bigger mech? Or do you just keep the Earthstron on board and...
Yeah,
this lets you cleanly trade off both...
push.
Yeah. Well, you don't get to push anything from board this turn, because you have to trade everything off, but it lets you cleanly...
Push onto the board with more minions and the board's empty. Okay. And what this does as well, if you can cleanly kill the board, then it means that if your opponent draws the second Conjurer's Call in, it's harder to do anything with. Right? You don't want to leave anything on the board, even if you've gone wider.
So fortunately for Glory, 3 mana, 3/4. It's a priest card.
Wait, watch SamuelTsAo's face.
Oh,
please. Oh, okay, he's not playing it this
Well,
turn.
he knows there's no burst damage, right? He knows that he switched to the... Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
This is incredible. For people watching, that if you're on 10 mana crystals, that card heals you for 10. Raven, I thought you said there was no way Glory comes back this game.
There shouldn't be a way Glory comes back.
This is Hearthstone, Raven. Anything can happen.
Also, what's his face collector going to do?
Literally anything.
So he goes up to 14.
14's a lot. Especially with the giant on board.
It's 3 mana. Like, that is a cheap way to heal right now. Like, mana expenditure is important in these late turns because often when Mage doesn't have the best hand, everything's quite expensive. A Mountain Giant might be 7. You know, same with Sea Giant might be 6, 7 plus. And that's difficult because you often can't make the big swingy turns with like 2 cards a turn. You need to play like 4 things. But the 3 mana heal 10 seems pretty good as far as I'm concerned.
It's a third of a Reno for half the cost.
So that's probably, I mean, not as good.
Well, it's more flexible, though.
But it's not half as bad, right? It's better than half.
Look at
as
the draw.
Mage just gets there.
Wait, it might not. SamuelTsAo is definitely not out of this game, but the way Glory's been playing it, this is exactly what he needs to do. This isn't going to be a normal game, like Game 1, for example, where Glory just kind of came out the gates, storming. All right, this is how the game's going to go out. It's been on the back foot a little bit. He knew that he had to use the Blast Wave in conjunction with the Conjurer's Calling to get something that he needed, and he managed to find enough. He stalled long enough to find something, and this is the thing.
The biggest thing here is, as well, if he Ziliax no attacks this, then there is no way that SamuelTsAo gets through the shield and Ziliax without attacking at least once.
Right.
And to do it, you'd have to draw exactly his one-off bomb toss. And if not, he needs to attack twice.
Yep.
100%, which means +6 heal. So he heals for effectively, almost all the time, 16 this turn if he makes those 2 plays. And he could ping the 310.
Perfection. Yeah, I'd be surprised if we didn't see Omega Meta coming out here. Actually, maybe not. Actually,
Okay,
this is fine.
This is better,
Yeah. This way, even if you draw the bomb toss, it's 1 damage off of lethal, right? You can bomb toss the Ziliax, and then the
oh, he drew bomb toss. Oh my god.
It's incredible. You do the bomb toss because you need to set up... From SamuelTsAo's perspective, he's like, all right, there's your last bit of healing.
Oh. Look, Glory, you've got to heal.
Yeah, this was a good play. Glory played
Glorious.
around exactly the top deck, one of Bomb Toss.
Oh, Glory's got some spare glasses because he just threw those down quite aggressively.
Did he?
Yeah, he just took it. Look, he just threw his glasses down.
It is
the desk.
rough because
Calm down.
Bomb Toss was a bit of a punish there because like it does let him get set down to 1 health.
Right.
But he at least hedged around it by keeping himself, alive to that. So that's very good that he did that. If he had played Omega Medic instead, sure, he would have gotten the 10 heal, but SamuelTsao would have been able to push a bit more damage.
I think SamuelTsao wasn't looking at the screen, and then he heard the voice line maybe, and was like,
And that,
wait,
yeah,
what?
He was completely in phase for a second. He's
he
like,
was like, wait, what?
wait.
What's that?
Hello?
Venomizer, you can kill one of the 8. Okay, 2 Venomizers, but you can still only kill one of the 8/8s.
Did you just go face though? Like if you kill an 80, what are you doing? That's the thing.
But if you go face for 4, you go face for 6, right?
Right.
But that's 2 turn, and
Sure, but like you can, from SamuelTsao's perspective, Glory can't just leave it up.
yeah, but he knows he has generated cards, right? I'm not saying you play around
Right,
every card
right,
that exists. I'm just I honestly don't know the payoff here because
It's
this
hard
is,
to-
with that second giant. This is hard.
It's hard to substantiate, right? Like
If there was only one giant, you one Venomizer and trade every day of the week. Because then there's no.
I think
no
you need to
pressure
go
on both.
upstairs.
It's going phase. Okay.
I'm curious if we're gonna be. We probably just see 3 phase collectors. Like you need to say, that can be huge. If you find a freeze to stop this from connecting
Yeah, I
phase,
want
you
to do
set
a
up 2
magic
turn.
trick.
I want to do a magic trick.
There were so many in Mage
The
right
last
now.
out in SamuelTsao's deck now is exactly Unleash the Hounds. So he's excellent call by Glory. Obviously, Conch calling the cheaper minion.
yep.
But what this also does, it means Unleash is not an out. This is. I think this is just over. No, hold on. No,
can't
he's
hold on
he's
anymore.
played the 1 missile launcher. There was only 1 missile launcher in SamuelTsao's
Die
third
Wolf,
deck.
that's not it.
That's it. Glory's found a way to win Omega Medic. Priest shows up
With the Ziliax.
with the Ziliax.
A second Ziliax.